Hello and welcome. In this video we'll be learning how to change backgrounds where we'll have realistic shadows such that when you look at the image it's going to be very realistic as though it was actually taken in that very place. One of the challenges that most people have when they change backgrounds is that you don't get to see the shadow effects, so the images don't get to become realistic. The images would look as though they are actually flying, suspended somehow. So in this very video I'll be teaching you how to change a background of an image and make it very realistic. So let's dive right in. The first thing we want to do in this very image is to change the background. So how do we do that? Let's use our quick selection tool, and then my quick selection tool is selected, and then all I need to come do is to select object, so it selects for me automatically. Okay, having done that selection, if there is any modification, I will just come modify them. So let's just wait for it to load. Okay, so it has selected our image for us, and it's not a very perfect selection, but it's a fair one. So remember, if you've been following our courses, if you haven't, go learn how to add and subtract. So I'm going to use the polygonal lasso tool to add to this selection. So by default this is going to be checked, so I'm going to select this, so it will be the add selection checked. So once I do that, I would now come to okay, I just toggled. I can toggle this very icon from this very my cursor. When I press caps lock, it changes. Okay, so I'm using caps lock to toggle it back. Alright, so I want to add these selections into what we have. So you just select. Once you select, you come back and add, and it joins. So you look for every error or blemish that we have on the image. One other thing I want to do is that you look at the selection is rough. Okay, it's rough. So if I want to smoothen the selection, I come to select modify smooth. Maybe I smoothen it at 12 radius and smooth. Now you see what happens, it thins it up. Let me undo so you can see the difference now. There's the before and the after. So our selection is a little more smoothened. Now the other thing I like doing for quick selections like this is to shift the edge so it comes in. So you can also achieve that from selection, select, modify, and contract. So when you contract, let's contract by 2 and see the difference. So this is before and after. You see it shifted a little, just by a little pixel. Okay, now let's modify all the other errors we have. Okay, for this we will have to minus this, so let's minus that. For this we'll have to minus. I hold my Alt key. When I hold my Alt key, it changes to minus. With the Shift key, you can change your polygonal lasso to plus. Now it's plus. So with my Alt key, I minus. Just hold your Alt key and it changes to minus. Then you can start minusing. Okay, so let's try to be fast. Okay, you might be choosing an image that will be a little more simpler than this. So if that's your own case, you can just fast forward. However, I'm actually taking a complex image like this, so I can easily show those of you that are beginners how to actually address such challenges and do a very professional job. So I'm holding my Alt key, it has changed to minus, and then I would be able to add it. Okay, alright, so there we go, we are adding it already. And so we also subtract here. We're subtracting, not adding, please. Alright, so there we go, we've already done that. So let's do this too. Subtract this side. So this is what we're going to do on every part of this image until we have a very perfect selection before we can proceed. Alright, so from here I would want to add this, so I have a perfect footing for that, and then subtract these ones here. Don't forget, you press your Alt key to minus, your Shift key to plus. It changes it modifies your polygonal lasso tool. So I'm minusing now. So I'm just removing from selection and I'm adding to selection, as the case may be. So I would advise you to go also pick other different images that are a little more complex than this, because when you experiment with complex images, you'll be able to understand. Right here is just to add to selection. So we're just adding to our selection, and once we're done, we would then proceed. So okay, I believe you're getting the logic. Okay, all right, let's go forward. Let me subtract this from this very foot and then add this just the bottom of the chair. I want to ensure that it is perfectly selected, and let's come right here. So you want to check the various edges of your image and ensure that everywhere is perfectly selected. Reason being that if there is any error, it's going to show at the end, and we don't want to have an error. We want to have a perfect image at the end of the day. So that's why you don't want to take chances. You don't want to take chances. So you don't want to take chances. Even if you have a very simple image that is not as complex as this, you want to go around all the edges. Particularly the major reason why you want to go around all the edges is that these tools we use, the quick selection tool, make our work faster and easier. However, they are not the most perfect tool, simply because most of the images we have pixels around the edge of the subject that is kind of similar with the background. Okay, if there was a total contrast between the background and the subject, we wouldn't be having much of these challenges, but because there is no much contrast, okay, that is why you can see that it's peeled, and it's quite challenging here. So but my choice of this very image is intentional, so that you can see how we work in a complex work environment. Okay, so having done all of this, the next thing we want to do is to create a selection. Okay, so I think we're done with it. We have a perfect selection now. Okay, if it's not very perfect, you can actually ensure that yours is very perfect. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is to feather. For this image, I want to feather a tree. So you feather according to the size of your image. So the next thing I will do is layer via copy or Ctrl J. So once I do this, I come right behind here and duplicate, also Ctrl J. I duplicate the background layer, Ctrl J, and then I desaturate it. So come to Shift Ctrl U, or you desaturate it from your image, desaturate, image adjustment, desaturate, or Shift Ctrl U. So the next thing I want to do is to change the blend mode of this desaturated layer to hard light. Sorry, not hard marks, hard light. So that's hard light. So I will come and pick the background I want to use for the image and bring it right in, and it's going to be one layer below. So I'll check my show transform controls and auto select, so it can be easy for me to select the layers I want to move and transform them easily. So this is our background. Now this was a challenge I was explaining to you at the beginning of the class, that when you work with such an image, you would have the challenge of having your subject or your object, as the case may be, flying. Now when you look at this is what many people do as changing of background, and if you are used to this, it's challenging. It's quite challenging. It looks unprofessional. Actually, it looks unprofessional. So you want to ensure that your backgrounds are changed such that they look very realistic. So this desaturated background, for which I changed the blend mode to highlight, I'll just bring it right above the background, and you see what happened. It transformed it. The shadows are there. You can see the shadows are already here automatically, and it looks very, very real. It's as though she was taking this shot right in this very place. Now, the other thing you would want to work on might likely be the temperature of the background. Okay, you want to ensure that the temperature of the background is similar with the temperature of the image. Let's just pick the temperature from around her face and her body. So all we just need to do is to select that face and her body, and we'll just do layer via copy. Her own very image is what we're doing now, layer via copy. So when we do that, we ensure that it is at the top. Okay, we select it and come. Okay, you can actually do it differently, but why I'm actually picking her face is because I want the temperature to be very close to her face. So the first thing I want to do is to come edit fill and content aware fill. So when I'm doing a content aware fill, the reason is because I want her face to fill up the entire frame. So when it fills up the entire frame, I can now get that temperature across the entire frame. So just let's wait a little and see how it fills it up. You might have our faces duplicated all over everywhere. It's not going to be a challenge, so don't be scared. It's well, you can also use the entire image like I said, but I'm choosing to use this because I want the temperature to be very close to her skin temperature. Okay, good. So our face is duplicated everywhere, so don't be scared. The next thing we want to do is come to having that layer selected. We'll come to filter blur and select average. So this is the average skin tone. So we want to now come and change the blend mode of that to color and bring it directly over the background, directly on top of the background. And so you can see now that it has affected the temperature of the background, but this is too much, so I'll reduce the opacity. Okay, now once the opacity is reduced such that you have the temperature close, now you can see what's happening. You can see that the temperature is close to our skin temperature. So that is what you want to do. Okay, is either you change the temperature of the background to be close to the temperature of our skin, or you change the temperature of our skin to the temperature of the background. I want to reduce this a little more, okay, so we have a more better temperature, I believe. Okay, and then you can do this on several backgrounds. Okay, let's say I have other backgrounds here that we want us to experiment. So let's say for example this background is what we'll be using. Let's assume this is our background. Okay, we can just bring it right there and ensure that it is okay. Now this is not very realistic because the chairs are not the furniture is not really the best of it, so this will not be a best of examples. However, you can still see that okay, let's see if we can use this way. Good. I think we have a better option here. We have a better option this way. So when you have dragged it this way, and you can see you can see right here, so all you just need to do is to expand this floor. So let's try to use a content aware fill to see if it's gonna fill it up, and if it doesn't, we can use our clone stamp to also fill it up. Okay, our content aware fill has given us a good result, so all we just need to do now is to use our clone stamp to clear up this. So let's, with S, you click your clone stamp and then sampling only the current layer, you just pick it up and brush it off. So this is a faster work I'm doing because I don't want this video to be too long, but I hope you are getting it. Okay, you have to, if you didn't get it for the first time, just take your time, watch this video over and over again until you get what we're doing. Alright, so this is it. I mean, you have another perfect one on this very background and it looks very realistic as though she was there. I have a third background here that I will also want us to experiment. I want you to see it in different type of backgrounds. These are stock images that I actually downloaded from different websites, so you go check other websites where you can get your own stock images, and you want to ensure that the angle is the angle of the background is actually similar to that of the shot. And then okay, let me see, for this shot I want to flip. Let me see if it's going to be looking better. When I flip, I want that flower to be part of my shot. Good, that flower there. Okay, so let's assume this is okay and the angle is good. So the next thing I want to do now is to fill this, and you remember what we did, it was simply content aware fill. So we select the layer of the background and then come and right click and fill content aware fill. So let's wait for it. Okay, it has done it. So you take your time to do all the necessary blendings. However, I want to believe you have been able to see how to change backgrounds. Okay, you don't want to shift this image. If you want to shift it, you shift it alongside the hard light, the saturated image you have. So let me undo that, Ctrl Z, and there we go. We have it right there. So that is how you get a perfect image with a perfect backdrop. Okay, that's how you get a great image with a great backdrop, that looks very realistic. So that will be all for now. Thank you so much. Keep practicing and see you in our next video.